Welcome back to Novaville, a suburb you are all getting to know so damn well. It's picture perfect. It's picturesque. It is, well, it's more of a picture askew, because there's some deep, dark undercurrents beneath Suburbia. We've recently been exposed to them, though God forbid anyone ever talk about them. God forbid anyone ever go to the right authorities about a young girl found dead in the woods. God forbid you break the perfect tapestry that's been put in place. After all, Steve Sanderson's coming. Steve Sanderson, the second coming. Well, he is the great hope for Novaville. Have we over-egged it yet? Have we made the point? Steve Sanderson is the shining light of Novaville. If his parade doesn't go off well, if he doesn't come here feeling quite at home, if he doesn't bring the popularity, the veneer, the glamour to Novaville that he promises, and it's really a nebulous kind of a glamour, you know, it's very poorly defined. What everyone seems to expect this young footballer to somehow do through his visiting of Suburbia is incredibly vague, and yet people are investing their hopes that this New England patriot, as soon as he rolls into town, is going to... what? I don't know. Make everything feel right? Give everyone a reason to feel proud of themselves? Make all of their bad decisions feel justified? I guess we will find out, but it has been a few days now since the burial. It's been a few days since the barbecue. And for the most part, things have returned to the normality that can only exist in a place like Novaville. It's not a real normality. It's a subterfuge, a smokescreen. And so, people are wearing smiles, they're going about their jobs, they're eating breakfast with their family around the dinner table. No more barbecues have been held, not since the last one left such a taste. And for some reason, couples that were having disputes, they have put them to the side. They've bottled them up because, again, God forbid anyone actually address and talk through their issues. Those issues are still there, don't get me wrong. It's just no one is prepared to really dissect them. Let's wait until Steve Sanderson has come and gone before the autopsy begins. Well, that would apply perhaps to all of our characters except for one. Kevin couldn't wait. Kevin Miller, our coach, our man denied a future by a simple injury, he can't just sit on his hands. He has felt the need to confront someone in the interim. So, in the lead up to a few days later, Kevin, who was it you wanted to see? What was it you wanted to say?
I found myself walking on eggshells around Laura, knowing that she's expecting me to have that talk with Walker and, well, making sure that what happened, what he drew, that nothing like that will ever happen again. So I've tried to find an opportunity to sit down with my son, you know, when everyone else is out and it's just the two of us, and I can just approach him and be a father and listen to my son, because I think that's needed. I have no idea what has gotten into him, what made him draw what he drew, but I need to know. Otherwise I can't fix this. Otherwise I can't fix me and Laura. And I can't keep walking around on eggshells forever. I just can't. So, I will move up to Walker. I'm assuming he is drawing. He usually is.
It is what he loves. Yeah, he has his coloured pencils. And he's 9 years old. He's, well, arguably no longer an infant. And certainly it does show in his artistic quality. He can apply much of anything, whether he's using pencils, charcoals, he's even dabbling a little in oils. There could be a future in this for him. Although you have, again, never before seen the kind of work, to put it that way, as you were handed by his teacher. Currently, he is drawing a fantastical scene of dragons, a castle, what looks like some kind of wizard or witch on a broomstick. It's children's fantasy stuff, but again, it looks good. The renderings are decent. There's an actual depth of quality to this illustration that he doesn't seem to be paying all that much attention to. The TV's on in the background, he's occasionally looking up at it, and still his hand works on the paper as he applies a little more shade to the dragon's scales. He seems oblivious to your approach.
I'm used to that. I'll go sit next to him. Hey, buddy.
Oh, he puts his pencil down, he looks up at you.
What are you drawing?
And he points at the paper, eyes still on the TV.
Where do you get your ideas from? Is it from the TV, or is it all just coming from your head? Because this is really good.
I don't know. He just shrugs.
That is the thing about speaking with children this age. It's not necessarily that you're going to get a very long answer to things. It's not like you're going to get a very long answer to inquiries. Well, look, I'm really proud of you, son. You really got talent for this. You really got talent for drawing.
Thank you.
Look, I wanted to ask you about something, and I want to start by saying that I'm not angry in any way. I just want to know something. When I was at your school, I talked to your teacher, and he showed me a drawing that I guess you had with you, and I think you had drawn it, and I will put forward the drawing, however obscene it is, given that he's the one who's drawn it. I feel okay doing that in spite of the, well, definitely adult content being shown there. What made you draw this one? It's really good. Your talent is really showing, but the contents are, I'm not used to seeing you draw stuff like this.
He looks down at the picture briefly, eyes taken from the TV again for only a second, before looking back up at it. I don't know.
I'm in this one, right?
I guess.
Mario Young, and there's a lot of different people that we know on there. It's, you know that it's kind of adult stuff that you're drawing here. It's not really for kids. Do you know what's even going on that drawing?
He looks down at it again. He looks up at you finally. I don't know. Sex. Lots and lots and lots and lots of sex. And then he goes back to watching the TV.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. But that isn't really something that you should be, well, drawing or thinking about at your age, right?
He shrugs.
I think it's nice to have an imagination, you know? And we all have...
Daddy, I'm trying to watch the TV.
I know, I'm almost done, buddy, but I just need to make this point, alright? It's really important that if you're going to draw things like this, you can't let anyone else see it, alright? It's not okay to have stuff like this in school. Your teacher he was quite upset. And so was your mother.
He does go red at that. Did Mummy not like it?
She thought it was very, very talented and very well drawn. It's just that what was drawn, all that sex, as you said, it's not something that children are supposed to draw. And, well, she wondered where you had seen it.
I don't copy. And now his attention's fully on you. I'm not copying.
No, I never said you were, but...
I haven't seen it.
But the idea must have come from somewhere, right? I mean, it's so specific.
He looks down at the picture again. Actually focuses on it for a while this time, before looking back up at you. He shrugs again, getting very used to that gesture. The man in the room told me about it.
Oh, the man in the room, I say as I get goosebumps and feel really concerned. The man in the room.
That's what I said.
Where did you
Daddy,
meet the man
I'm
in the
trying
room?
to watch TV. I'm missing my show.
Don't worry about it. We can watch that later. But just tell me that, okay? Where did you meet the man in the room?
In my room.
He's coming to your room? Through the window, or... You know, if someone's coming into your room, that could be very dangerous.
There's a man in my room. He gives me ideas.
Is he actually there, or is he more of a, imaginary?
He looks at you now as if you're stupid. I'm not making it up.
I don't think you are. I'm not saying you are. I just want to know if he's real or not. Because, I had an imaginary friend when I was your age.
I don't have an imaginary friend. That's for geeks and weirdos.
So he's real. That makes Daddy a little bit worried, We can't have unknown men around in our house.
He's just helping me with my art, Daddy.
Well, and he helped you with that drawing in particular?
He gave me the idea. But I didn't copy it off of him.
You wouldn't need to do that. You're very good at drawing and very talented. Can I meet him? Can you introduce me? When he next comes?
He finally pauses the TV. And folds his arms. It's a little like you're about to be told off. He won't speak to you. He won't speak to you or Mummy. He's only going to speak to me. I think he wanted to speak to Ronald, but he found Ronald boring.
So he's only speaking to you then. All right. When do you think he's coming next time? I mean, we don't have to talk, but I'd like to wave to him and...
I don't know. He wakes me up at night.
Every night?
No. Sometimes he just wakes me up. At first I thought he was shaking me and not waking me up. And the first time I was scared. But then I realised that it wasn't he was touching me or anything. And he gives you a look as if to say, I know what I'm talking about here. It was a smell. You know how Grandpa used to smoke all those cigars? And he used to reek. It's like that. I smell smoke and I wake up. And he's there. On the edge of my bed.
Well, you go back to your drawing, son, and just don't bring anything like that to school again, all right?
I don't want to draw now. And he puts the TV back on.
And I don't think I can continue the conversation. What I just heard, it just makes me incredibly scared and worried. And I think I'll need to try and think about what to do, because I saw things, I smelled smoke, and I remember things. Could this be connected with that? And I think that's where that conversation ended.
In that case, it is 3 days later. Preparations for the parade are well underway, well as they can be, given everything you've recently been through. Margot, of course, your arm was quite badly injured in the escape from the woods. The doctor asked a few questions. Of course, you know the doctor in the community. He's one of the fathers of Cherry. That would be Thomas Sweeney. He didn't seem to hold any grudge for his child being pushed over by one of yours. When he was treating your arm, of course not. And you didn't have to go into the hospital, you just had to go to the local surgery, and he was all too happy to help. He made small talk with you about the barbecue, about looking forward to Steve Sanderson coming to visit. Thomas Sweeney has never actually met Steve Sanderson, of course. He and his husband moved into the community, or I should say, he and his partner moved into the community after Steve Sanderson had left, but still, that doesn't mean they're not excited and prepared to wave the flags. It's a little unusual that there's so much New England Patriots paraphernalia being bedecked all over the place, given that you are a town in the Midwest, but that doesn't matter. The fact is, you just need to make Steve Sanderson feel comfortable, at home, like he belongs here. Likewise, Doug, well, you saw some shit, you did some shit, and you were pretty damn terrified of getting home and meeting your wife again, given how strangely she had been acting and how strangely you perceived her before you left. But, yeah, your wife, Deborah, she seemed fine. I mean, to tell you a secret, Doug, over the last couple of days, you've never had so much sex in a 2-day period, you know? But she seems fine. She seems good with it. She seems very excited about something, and you can't help but wonder if there's a morbid attraction to some of the stress in the community. Of course, central to everything going on, at least to the people who don't care about Steve Sanderson's imminent arrival, is the missing child. Louise Skinner has been bereft. She has been pinning up photos of her daughter all around the community. She has been at the sheriff's station day in, day out, wanting to know, has anyone heard anything? And some of her neighbours, sure, they've been helping out. And yeah, Doug, Margot, Kevin, you've been doing your part, walking the fields occasionally. There was even an occasion, Margot, where you were part of a band that had to walk through the woods. But tragically, no one has found Fiona Skinner. And Louise is upset. She didn't buy the idea that Josh gave, that, oh, your daughter's probably just ran off to stay with a relative, or, you know, girls will be girls. No, she insisted, and the community was galvanized. But importantly, and this is important, none of that has overshadowed Steve Sanderson's arrival. Margot, we join you as you were putting up posters for the fair. I mean, the town notice board is absolutely lousy. It's filled with photos, contact information for Louise Skinner, photos of Fiona. You need to get up some of these bulletins about Steve Sanderson's arrival. What if someone passes through town? They can't miss this.
Optics are so important, especially at a time like this. And I empathize for Miss Skinner. I do. However, we can't risk the media picking up on this. We can't have a child with a balloon and a handful of cotton candy with a missing child poster behind them. So it's not that I'm going to remove them as much as I'm going to aesthetically reprioritize any type of notices that are going up into the community.
Yeah. I assume you've also been pruning the social media to that effect. Or pruning's the wrong word. Overwhelming, spamming, as the young people like to say, with notices about the parade rather than the missing girl.
Indeed. I mean, there's information that everyone needs to know. There's a schedule and there's gathering, and we can't let an event like this go unsupervised. So, of course, there's going to be a walking schedule and a community watch schedule embedded into all of this, too. Now, that's not being projected out onto social media as much as it's being, confirmed and scheduled onto the app. But spamming is such a heavy word. Enthusiastic informing would be my preferred approach.
Yeah, and I think that's almost certainly fair for what's going on here. Still, you got a lunch date. Well, again, date might be a strong word. You got a lunch meeting with Doug. Once you've done your work around here, you need to decide on some of the entertainments that are going to take place here. There's also a lot of scrubland that needs clearing. Louise Skinner, she made a bit of a song and dance last night. There was a town hall meeting, a physical one. Everyone got together to discuss, well, where are we going to put the pavilion? Where are we going to put out the trellis tables? What, are we getting the actual fair to come in from out of town? That sort of thing. And Louise, who you hadn't even noticed was present, stood up and shouted out, "What about evidence? What about contaminating evidence? What if there's something there to do with my daughter?" Margot, you were a dear, you were a darling, you helped the poor, distressed woman out from the town hall. Like you said, you are empathetic. Most importantly, you can't let this disrupt the coming events.
There are only so many things we can control.
Exactly.
I can't give that woman her child back. But we can control the presentation of the parade.
There have to be priorities.
Clarity is so important.
Especially at a time like this. When your phone starts buzzing, it does startle you. It's just as you staple a photo of Steve Sanderson, just edging over a photo of Fiona Skinner. And so the stapler falls to the sidewalk with a clatter, but your phone keeps buzzing.
Damn it. I will reach down for the stapler and then pull out my phone to see who this is.
It's Josh.
I look left up the street, and I look right down the street.
That's interesting. Could I ask you to make a perception roll, please?
A 4 on the dice with a 1 in perception. You have a sum of 5.
Despite the fact you are out at about 11:30 and the sky is bright, it's clear, it's warm, you're wearing a summer dress, and there's a nice breeze that ripples by, keeps you cool despite the heat above. You suddenly feel incredibly cold. Disquietingly cold. You find yourself salivating, like you might before vomiting. An excess amount of moisture building up in your mouth, like you need to spit. You need to clear all this fluid that's building up. Your phone keeps buzzing. It seems to be buzzing louder. You know that's not possible, but it certainly feels that way. It's like the world is closing in around you and making it hard to breathe. Is this a panic attack? Your phone continues to buzz.
I feel disconnected. I don't feel grounded. I don't know what's going on in my mouth. Can I spit? Can I attempt to just clear whatever this is that's just building?
Yeah. By all means, spit away. It's no longer a finable offense.
So she'll make sure her hair is pulled back, and she'll put her back away from the street, and she'll just try to clear whatever this is.
You find yourself retching a little. Your phone stops buzzing. You get all that saliva out. You wonder if you're going to vomit, but you don't. Mercifully, you don't. Then you hear a voice from the other side of the street. Oh, Margot? Are you okay? The sound of footsteps crossing the road. A hand touching your upper back, gently. Oh, I saw you, bent over and spitting. Are you okay? You see and hear that it is your good friend Stacy. Do you need me to get you to a doctor?
I immediately straightened up, almost repulsed by her touch. I heard her voice from across the street, and this is not who I needed in this particular moment. Oh, Stacy, hi. Good morning. No, I'm fine. I am fine. Breakfast may have been a bit unsettled on my stomach.
Oh, I understand, Margot. That's why I don't eat breakfast anymore. And look, she pats her stomach. It works wonders for me. You should really try cutting it out. But I guess you got the kids.
Stacy, is there something in particular that I can help you with this morning?
Well, I know. I thought I was helping you. I saw you vomiting, or whatever that was. Should you really be spitting? With COVID.
Stacy, what what are you up to this morning? Where are you heading?
Oh, I'm just heading to a shoot. Well, I say a shoot. I'm going over a friend's house. We're going to do something as a couple. Not like that. She puts her hands out. That you may not know it, but there are some handsome young men in Noahville. And I've got some outfits. I'm just heading to my car to pick them up. And we are going to do some shoots together.
How exciting. And my face is completely stonewashed. I'm not impressed. It's visibly apparent that I want this conversation to end as quickly as possible.
And she keeps smiling at you. The problem is you don't even know if it is insincere. It obviously feels it in your guts. You can't stand this young, beautiful, articulate woman. But there's so much passivity to her, whether that's passive aggression or whether it is simply that she doesn't care what you think. It's it's impossible to tell, quite frankly. Well, listen, you look after yourself and your kids and Josh. I saw him last night. He looked so run off his feet.
Did he?
Well, with the Skinner girl.
I have that handheld stapler in my hand, and my eyes fall to it for just a moment, and I just think, if I put this towards the side of her face, it wouldn't kill her, but she definitely missed that shoot. But I blink and I shake that off. He's just been so incredibly busy with the parade and with all of the preparations. But you look busy too, and I would hate to hold you up from whatever.
I am busy, Margot, and I don't want to hold you up either, because what you're doing, and she points at the notice board, is clearly incredibly important. I just wanted to... I'm sorry, I know this might be embarrassing, but as your neighbor, I feel like I should... I'll come out with it. Like I said, Joshua was ran off his feet last night. I saw him smoking. Now, anybody can smoke. I occasionally vape. But I remember, 2 barbecues ago, him telling me, or you telling me about him, that he had struggled so hard to give up. And you were so, that's it, you were so proud of him for giving up. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, honey. But I wanted to tell you so you can support him through this. Okay? Right, I'm gonna head on.
That stapler in my right hand is literally shaking. You can hear the staples inside of the gun just chittering and clattering, and I am doing everything I can right now not to go at this little girl's throat.
Have a good day.
I quickly turn back to the post and I rip down every single poster that has Fiona's face on it. Every single one of them. I snatch them all from the board. In pure frustration, in pure contained humiliation, this thing, no one speaks to me like this in the town. They know better. Everyone knows better. But this one, for whatever reason, I cannot seem to get her on a leash. And I hate her. I hate her. She is appreciating in value by the moment, socially, intellectually, sexually, and I'm going to move to the next billboard, because those are things that I can control.
They are. The smell of smoke fills your nostrils. And then as soon as it's there, it's gone again. Nevertheless, it does make you think. It's not cigarette smoke you're smelling. That smelled like the aftermath of a barbecue. It smelled like roasting flesh. Your mind, of course, went immediately back to Kevin's barbecue from a few nights back, but no, that's not the memory it's stirring. It's not that kind of meat that's being cooked. As you go to work at the notice board, a couple you're very much familiar with, Mackenzie and Daniel Jefferson, the only black Americans in the community, it should be noted, pass by. They're holding hands. They must be on their way to lunch. And Daniel sees all the posters of Fiona Skinner in your hand, and he says, "Good on you, Marg. You're doing a good thing putting those posters up. Got quite a stack there. Do you want us to help you out? We're just on our way to the Copper Kettle Cafe."
I startle for just a brief moment. There's like this disconnect in time and space. I almost blue screen because, oh God, I've got these... Oh, I'm so glad that they took that approach and not a different one. You know what? That would be so helpful. Would you? And I'll hand them those posters.
Mackenzie and I, we would love to help you. I know we got off, and he takes them from you. I know we got off on the wrong foot when we moved to the community. People made some mistakes. But we're good now, right? Mackenzie is staring death at you. No, it is fair to say from a rational point of view that no one got off on the wrong foot. It was racism pure and simple. But Daniel is playing the mollifying husband who just wants a quiet life in a predominantly white community. Mackenzie, she's going to take some convincing.
How unlucky, I should say, of me to run into two unleashed persons on the same goddamn morning. Thank you so much for being such active and colorful participants to the community. Hanging those flyers would be a big help.
Mackenzie whispers something in Daniel's ear, but he just shakes his head. He puts his hand up and he's, no. Anyway, we gotta get going, Mark. Maybe we'll see you at the parade, if not before.
Indeed. I do so very much hope to see you both there.
You take care of yourself, okay? Come on, hon. Come on.
I side-eye Mackenzie as she walks by.
She looks pale with rage.
I know that feeling well. And that slightly makes me feel better. At least someone else is as frustrated as I am this morning.
Doug, you know you've got this meeting coming up with Margot. You had to take the morning off work. I mean, it was kind of demanded of you by Deborah. She has been... insatiable is probably the right word. There's a real hunger to her that it isn't in the way that she's doing anything obscene in front of your daughter or anything like that. Nothing like that. She hasn't lost complete control. It's just whenever she gets you alone, she's tactile. She's all over you. She's kissing you again. It's like the last few days have been like the first few days that you knew her.
It's certainly not an unpleasant thing, and perhaps I have needed some distraction. Though it is also a little irritating. I do need to do work. A lot of work. I can't always be doing that sort of thing.
Well, not to mention you're quite sore. She's been pretty rough with you.
True. But on one hand, it's true. It does remind me of better days, and I have felt a bit differently about her lately. Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this is her coming back to her senses, and as soon as we sort out a few things we need to sort out, well, maybe we can get back to how it used to be, where she supported my work, and she did her own stuff, and didn't just, well, let everything happen to her. But for now, I try and focus on the meeting. After all, I'm keen to get to it. I have been doing my best to keep things all calm in the neighborhood. I have had a word with my daughter. I've told her the truth of a sorts. Yes, of course we went looking for dear Fiona, we still are, but it's really important that she doesn't give too much away to people not involved in the investigation. Of course, I had Josh come over with supervision and have his talk with her, but I've stressed that talking to other people could infringe the investigation. It could cause problems, so it's really important that she only talks to me, the sheriff, and everyone else. She can just say she's worried about her missing friend, who we will find, one way or the other. But I have asked Margot when she got a minute to go over all the footage she has of the neighborhood. She's got tons on backup. There has to be something there that shows where this bloody, I don't know, transient, vagrant, drifter could be. I've also been subtly asking around at the church, and everywhere really, if anyone's seen any homeless people, or people who no one recognizes. But so far it's not led to much, so I'm hoping today we can get that sorted. And of course, Steve Sanderson, bloody moron. If it wasn't for the fact that he has a lot of money that could be useful for the community, well, I don't like football stars and celebrities. I don't think they do much for anyone, really, but other people do, so you have to make do.
You're best off not sharing that sacrilegious attitude with any of your neighbours, Doug.
I wouldn't dream of it.
There may come a cost if you do.
No, I'm a leader. You need to lie to people all the time. It's what a good leader does. So if they think Steve Sanderson, football superstar, is going to save them all, that's great. Besides, if I can get him to sign my new project that I have going on to renovate some of the houses on the east side of town, well, that's money being used for a good purpose, so who cares where it comes from?
Your inner monologue is disrupted as Deborah puts her arms around your waist. Do you really have to go?
Oh, Deborah, yes. Remember, I gotta get this all sorted for Steve. It's gonna be big for the community. Hopefully I can get him to, share his wealth, with us. In some good ways, of course, like the housing project.
She kisses you on the back of your neck, because she is hugging you from behind. It's a very wet kiss. You even feel the tip of her tongue back there running up and down your spine. it takes you back to that barnacle-like imagery, that strange... No, you don't want to go there again, as she kind of sucks on your skin. You can walk away from it. You don't have to have flashbacks to how you saw her that time before. That weirdly yonic way you saw her before. I mean, for all the wonder that this lovemaking has been, it has been sex you've largely had to carry out with your eyes closed. Not that unusual for you, Doug, but it's difficult to look at Deborah without thinking of that strange hallucination you experienced in the kitchen.
Yes, it's been throwing me off, if I'm honest with you. I'm normally good at being calm, but that's... And of course, the other thing. I've been making the last few days a little less smooth. But again, I try and ignore it, and I just turn around and say, honey, I really do have to go. Don't you have something to do? You were doing... Weren't you going down the church today to help them with, the sandwiches?
I will, don't worry. She lets you go. Speaking of sandwiches, I did pack you a lunch. Unless you're planning on paying to eat with Margot, and if you are, that's absolutely fine. You know, you can spend our money however you like. But I did make you a special lunch.
Well, that's awfully sweet of you. Sure thing. Where is it?
That's it right here. She passes you a brown paper bag. Just like school.
I look inside. What's inside the paper bag?
What's inside the paper bag appears to be a sandwich. A baguette, a sub that has been cut into two. You can see some lettuce leaves sticking out. Looks like a nice, thick sandwich.
Well, gee, you made my favorite. Well, thank you, honey. That's great. Sure. I can take this.
I made them meaty for you.
I bet you did. Now, I gotta go.
I got one last thing. And she puts her arms around you again. It's like a spider. She just will not let you go. And she whispers in your ear, tonight I was thinking we could try something a little more kinky. A little experimental. If you've got the energy.
Sure, honey, I say, not being entirely on board. Don't want to do anything unusual. After all, I am a normal cis man. I don't do weird stuff in the bedroom. Other people can, of course, but not me.
Very progressive of you using the word cis, though.
Oh, I am extremely progressive, as everyone knows.
Indeed. She breathes in your ear and says, don't worry, it won't be too hardcore.
Well, I reserve the judgment to see when I see, don't I? But for now, I do need to go. Deborah, again, I'm going to be late, and I don't like being late. You know I don't like being late.
She lets you go with a bit of a girly pout, and then says, all right, run along. Give Margot my best.
Again, there's a little bit of irritation. It wasn't too long ago that I was starting to... Well, if I'm honest, I don't know how I was feeling about Deborah for the last couple of years, and even though she's been different recently, it's hard to get rid of that feeling, but, well, maybe this is all God's plan, so I should go along with it. Besides, I gotta go. And so I get ready, I make sure my suit tie look good, grew my beard a little before I go, and I head out the door to hopefully not be too late for my meeting with Margot. Again, I want to know what she's seen. And of course, talk about all the other stuff as well.
Kevin. Those days have passed since you spoke to Walker. Perhaps, well, whether it's a good thing or not, I guess depends on where you are in the relationship, but you haven't been benefiting from nearly as much kindness, warmth, and, let's just call it what it is, sex from your wife. Laura has been as cold, well... probably as Fiona Skinner is right now under the ground. She has not wanted to share your bed. she has barely wanted to speak to you. She's made you food, but there isn't nearly as much compassion in her cooking as there sometimes was. But when you finally tell her that you've spoken to Walker, she does defrost slightly. Just slightly. And she says to you, "Now, Kevin, I know we've not had a great week, have we?"
These things happen, you know? Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but it's always us, right?
Yeah. It is always us. I've been reading some websites. I was looking for advice on what to do in the... And her face wobbles a little, as if she is restraining the need to cry. What a woman like me should do if she suspects her husband of cheating, and I'm not. You explained, and let's just say I'm inclined to believe you. And everywhere I went told me that a good Christian wife sticks with her husband no matter what he's done. That this is from death, well, until death. She laughs at her Freudian slip. Until death do us part, so I guess even we have to ride out the rough with the smooth, don't we? We've done so for the last decades. So I'm with you, Kevin Miller. Yes, we had a bad week, but things will get better, won't they? And with Walker as well. You spoke to him, and I appreciate that. I know that can't have been easy.
It wasn't, but I think it's going to be all right now. He's a good kid. He's our kid, I say as I move closer with the hope of some kind of physical contact at the very least, you know, to kind of make things somewhat more normal again and kind of break the ice.
She pulls her hand away from you abruptly. I'm not ready for that yet.
That's fair. That's fair. I just miss you, that's all.
Where do you think he's getting these ideas of an imaginary friend? Where... Fine. Well, no, not fine. Not fine. Listen, they're at school. We should really put our heads together, Kevin, because I still think he probably found porn on your laptop. I think that's the only place he could have seen it. But now he's saying that a man told him. Do you think do you think he's using the internet to speak to like a stranger, a foreigner, or a groomer, like in To Catch a Predator?
You locked all that down. You shouldn't be able to talk to anyone.
Like I said, the only one I couldn't lock down was yours, so I'm wondering if he was using yours to look at things he shouldn't. Can you lock yours down?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'll change the password and everything, make sure he doesn't even know how to get into it.
Well, that's the thing. Kev, he shouldn't know how. But doesn't matter. That's our first wall of Jericho. What else? Have we been setting a bad example? Have we been too affectionate in front of him or something? Do you think he's got some sick ideas from seeing how we are together? I mean, there's an irony in that.
Thinking back to the last few years, I really can't see that being the case, but rather than saying something like that would be hurtful, I say, no, I think we've been perfectly, like a mother and a father are supposed to be. We've been very appropriate.
You're right. We have been living. We've been doing a damn good job. Especially given how much trouble he is. Walker, I mean. Obviously, Ron's fine. You know, he's perfect, but God, I look at Walker and I sometimes wonder, am I even his mother? Obviously, I know I am. I pushed him out. But he's so weak and strange and interested in things that you and I just aren't.
I think it's God trying to tell us something. Trying to enrich our lives and trying to show us something that we haven't seen before. That's what he brings to us. Maybe we should speak to someone at church. Maybe we should do that. Maybe Walker could do with attending Sunday school again. Get some fresh Jesus in his life. I think about that, and while I don't necessarily think that is the problem, I also don't see that as a bad thing, honestly. I think we all need a little bit more Jesus in our lives. I certainly could need that. Yeah, I'll take him this weekend. She smiles at that, and now she takes your hand. And I'll take hers, and I'll smile at her. You know, it's been a long time since I felt that hand. And she stops herself, and her face contorts into a scowl. It's remarkable. You see the complete shift in her nature happen right before you, as if something, given that you've been on the subject of religion, takes possession of her. Her hand grips yours tightly now. Her nails are actually digging in. Her teeth are clenched together. Her mouth angled downward, and her eyes narrow as she just stares at you. What you did to me will be paid back. Will be paid back. I'm just staring, and I'm trying to pretend like all this is not happening. I'm just here with my wife. This is my mind playing tricks on me. It's fine. First of all, let's roll coolness. Act under pressure. There's going to be two rolls here. And I bet you can guess the second one. 17, actually. Well, in that case, you do exactly as you say. And that's going to have a direct effect on what happens when you roll to see through the illusion. That is a 6. Somehow you hold it together. Somehow, as you penetrate the gloom and see through the veil to what is there in place of your wife, you don't lose it. You understand it. It makes sense given everything you've been thinking of recently, all the memories you've had, the flashbacks you've been experiencing, the dreams that just keep bombarding you in the night. That's not your wife sat there. That's a man by the name of Nikolai Godzinski. A man who you, as a younger person, along with several of your neighbours, burned alive in his home. You were all but thoroughly convinced beyond any shadow of a doubt, that Godzinski was a predator, a child molester, maybe even a murderer. And the police, they did nothing. They found it all too circumstantial. He wasn't locked up. They didn't put him away. They couldn't charge him with anything, is what they said. You can't charge someone just because you don't like them, or just because they don't fit in the neighbourhood. That's what the previous sheriff said, the sheriff who has long since retired and been replaced by Margot's husband, Josh. But Nikolai, it was like he was mocking you. From his house, he was staring from the window whenever you went past. He would leer at you. He would leer at all the children in town, until finally you and your neighbours, you put that place to the torch. There was something medieval about it, something utterly Salem witch trials about it, because yeah, you could have done this in an industrialised manner. You could have hurled a Molotov cocktail through the window, but no.
as a community, those of you who were involved, formed a circle around the house. You found yourself splashing propellant around it, almost in a perfect circle, and then painting a cross on his decking. And then you lit it with a torch, which was actually a stick with a rag wrapped around it, again soaked in propellant. Something so uncivilized, and yet ritualistic to the way you did it. It was like you were consumed with the need to do it. It was the way it felt like it should have been done. No gasoline and lighter for you. This was like something out of a horror movie. But you participated in it and you were glad of it, and even now when you think back to it, yes, there's some regret, there's some guilt, but you're still glad of it. And Nikolai Godzinski burned to death in that house. He couldn't leave. Should mention, you did block the doors. You did one of them. Doug Kennedy did the other. And right now, your wife sat there clutching your hand, gripping it tightly, now looking like a deeply charred, not just singed, but charred, black skin with deep cracks that expose pink, moist flesh underneath, but still recognizable as Nikolai Godzinski, hisses at you. "I'll get you back. I'll get you back for what you did."
Still convinced that this isn't real. This is still my wife there. I need to play this cool. This is just my mind. I'll gently try to release my hand from hers if I can.
You do so. You pry her fingers off. You can see that she has actually drawn blood from you. Still Nikolai sat there at the kitchen table, now looking up at you, his neck craned back so that you can see in layers the insides of his neck where the flames have burned the epidermis away. And through that hole in his neck, he gurgles, "I'll be paying a visit to your lovely little walker and your perfect little run.
And I'll begin backing away. Sorry, honey, I have a terrible headache all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on. I'll just go get some rest.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, you take some paracetamol or something.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And I'll begin backing away and trying to make it over to my room.
The stench of fumes absolutely fills your mouth, your nostrils, your eyes. It makes them sting, and yeah, that was overwhelming. That was a lot.
It was completely impossible what I saw. But, I mean, I know who it is. Maybe it's my conscience, maybe that's what it is. But I did the right thing. I mean, we protected people, we protected the community. Why would my conscience bother me about that? But it's been a strange week. I'll gotta make sure that the door is closed, and I guess I'm kind of holding against the door just like I did that time when we held him inside his house. We can't get in here. I guess I'll slump to the floor with my back against the door. And I'll just try to get back to reality. Try to forget about all that, because I don't want that to have been real. And if I want something to not have been real, then it doesn't have to have been. I was just tired.
There's an overwhelming urge that you feel right now, not necessarily to discuss the incident with Godzinski, or even the incident with your wife, but to share the company of your, well, friends may be a strong word, your neighbours, Margot and Doug. They are among the few who can truly share everything that you've been through. Oh, Josh was there. Laura was there. But it was the three of you remember, who led that ring. You felt so young and full of life, so righteous when you did what you did. And as you and Doug sealed those doors shut, it was Margot who carried the torch. It was her who lit the propellant that sent that house up in flames. That kind of bond is difficult to break.
I think I'll need to go pay them a visit. I'll just check in on my wife on the way out, just to see if Nikolai is still there or if it's her again.
As you leave, you cannot see her in the house. She must have gone for a walk or off to run errands.
Good for her. Good for me. All right. I'll get going then. I can't be alone with this, not anymore. You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play the scenario Tapestry of Suburbia from the scenario collection The Forbidden for KULT Divinity Lost. KULT Divinity Lost is published by Helmgast, who have also sponsored this series. Joining us as players in this series are none other than Bridgett Jeffries from Symphony Entertainment and our dear friend Matthew Dawkins. The music was made by Atrium Carceri, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We'd like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon, Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, David, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Antxon, and Graham Barey for their generous support. And we'd of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for KULT Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as play KULT with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember that community is everything.